Drodzy Państwo, ja bardzo krótko, ale też punktualnie chciałabym oficjalnie otworzyć, raz jeszcze powitać naszych gości i przedstawić Damiana Jaśkowskiego. Zaraz powiem więcej, na razie w roli tłumacza, a za moment powiem, bo to jest wszystko jego zasługa.
尊敬的各位来宾、各位朋友，大家晚上好。我想要非常准时的，但是非常热情的欢迎大家来到我们今天的现场。
To teraz naprawdę przedstawię Damiana Jaśkowskiego.
然后我现在来给大家介绍一下我今天的翻译大面。
Dlatego, żeby powiedzieć, ta historia będzie bardzo krótka. W ubiegłym roku wspólnie z Instytutem Polskim w Chinach i z Fundacją Indie Games Polska i z naszym zespołem Instytutu Przemysłów Kreatywnych odbyliśmy wizytę studyjną, która towarzyszyła pierwszej naszej ekspozycji wspólnej na targach WePlay w Szanghaju.
我们去年创新产业中心、波兰驻华大使馆文化处和波兰独立游戏基金会去上海，然后在上海参加WePlay 游戏展会。当时是我们作为中心的第一次这样的活动。
Ta wizyta służyła oczywiście, jak każda wizyta na targach, prezentacji polskich gier, ale jej częścią, bardzo ważną częścią było wprowadzenie nas w realia, w to, w jaki sposób promować się i dystrybuować w Chinach, na czym polega lokalizacja w tym kontekście. I tutaj ta wiedza, którą zdobyliśmy, a jednocześnie miejsca, które nas zaprosiły do siebie, były na tyle wartościowe, że pomyśleliśmy, że poza tą grupą, której udało się z nami dotrzeć, czyli poza tymi 16 osobami, warto się tą wiedzą podzielić.
当时呢，我们的主要目的当然是想要宣传波兰的游戏，但是除此之外呢，我们还是想要了解一下中国的游戏市场、中国的游戏产业。当时我们也非常荣幸收到了来自中国朋友的邀请，到他们的公司与他们会谈。 然后通过这个，我们可以更深刻的了解中国市场。那么，我们决定，我们想要把这个知识、这个常识，分享给更多的波兰游戏厂商。因为当时跟我们一起去上海的只有大概16个人，所以想要把中国带到波兰来。
Byliśmy też ogromnie wdzięczni mediom, takim jak Heybox, Bilibili czy TikTokowi, że nas przyjął. Ale jeszcze bardziej jesteśmy wdzięczni za to, że przyjęli dzisiaj zaproszenie do Warszawy i są tu z Państwem i będą też się dzielić swoim insightem.
我们非常感谢当时有小黑和有抖音、有 B 站邀请我们到他们公司坐坐。但是我们更荣幸今天有更多的来自中国的朋友来到我们这里。
Także dziękujemy za przybycie i zostawiamy scenę dla naszych gości.
所以再次非常感谢，然后我们接下来就邀请我们的嘉宾来参加论坛。So hello everybody, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here and thank you so much to the Creative Industry Institute for inviting us to this lovely place, of course, and for everything that we're able to share with you today and throughout all the days of the study tour that we are here. And today we have two panels that the purpose of which is to make you more accustomed and more knowledgeable in terms of the Chinese market, both in publishing side, both from the publishing side and from the media side. So today we have the first panel. We have amazing guests from very big, very influential Chinese companies that are going to share their knowledge with you. So starting from my left, it's Zhenghao, Nelo. His English name is Nelo from Xunlei. Next we have Jack from Bilibili. And last but not least, Max from C Asia or Sonfo, because you might know them from both names. Guys, could you please introduce yourselves and say a couple of words about what you do and like what do your companies do?
大家好，我是来自中国迅雷公司的李正浩，因为中文名叫李正浩，英文名叫 Nelo。这个英文名字可能会觉得很奇怪，因为它源自于那个 一个比较古老的游戏是 D&D Dungeons and Dragon， 对。然后我的公司呢，主要是做网络加速以及游戏社区和游戏的辅助测试为主。我的身份呢是产品经理，大致是这个样子。
Hello, everybody. My name is Zhenghao, and I'm from the company Xunlei. My English name, which is, can you please repeat your English name?
Nello。
Nello, it's not very common because it's actually a character from a game from many, many years ago. So it might be awkward, but at least you'll be able to memorize it better. And Xunlei is a company that deals with accelerators. We do accelerators for Steam, but we also have a community, a gaming community in China. And my role at the company is product manager. So that's about me. Jack, please.
My name is Jack Liu from Bilibili Games, and I'm primarily in charge of the PC and console game release. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jack. And Max, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Max, and I'm from CE Asia. We are a distributor, we are a publisher, and marketing service provider from China. We've been in the Chinese industry for more than 3 decades at this point. So I'm the oversee business development manager. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much, and let's hear it for our guests. Okay, so now we can get down to business, and business it is. Now, guys, tell me please, because that's something that I think many Polish game developers are actually wondering. In terms of what a Chinese game publisher does, what do you guys do as publishers? What do generally Chinese publishers do? And if it is in any way different from what a foreign publisher does, like in Europe, in the United States, how is it different? Max, could you please start?
So I guess as a publisher, the job is basically the same. Publishing globally or publishing regionally is the tasks are similar. But what's so special about China is that China is such a big and unique market, and China has its own social media channels, social media outlets, and it's different from the rest of the world. So you can't just enter China and without having any knowledge of this country and hoping to, maybe occasionally you can hit success, but for the most part, you need support, you need backup. So that's where we come in. As publishers, we take care of the marketing sides of the business, and we take care of all the sales channel in China for you and all the other tasks like regular publishers do for other parts of the world. But since China is very, very different, we just use our knowledge and our experience to maximize the sales and marketing potential for your game in the local market. So I think that's the biggest difference of what a Chinese publisher than a global publisher. So yeah.
Okay, you've mentioned the channels. So like, if I have a TikTok account in the United States, or I have a Facebook account to promote my game, or if I have a YouTube account, does it mean that I'm not reaching Chinese players with that?
So VPN is a very common tool in China nowadays. Basically, everybody, like if you're like connected to the world, you need to have VPN. So that's like you can still reach the Chinese-speaking community with those platforms, but as I just mentioned, that China has its own social media ecosystem. We have Weibo, which is the equivalent of Twitter in the West. We have Bilibili, which is the equivalent of YouTube in the West. We have like Red Note or all the other channels that are only like most influential in China. So in order for your game to get the maximized maximize exposure, you need to have presence on those channels, and so yeah.
Okay, so you've mentioned Bilibili, Jack. We do know that Bilibili is both a publisher, but it is also a platform. So can you please tell us more about your role and how you work as a publisher of foreign games?
Sorry, my English is not very good, so I'm gonna do this in Chinese. 我觉得B 站的游戏发行，我原来是在做独立游戏发行，主要是在做独立游戏发行。然后去年是跟505共同合作去发行了明末渊虚之语这款游戏。那在合作过程中呢，我们确实发现了我们跟海外发行商的一些不同。首先我们觉得中国的发行商会更加看重游戏的成品，我们一般会在更加成熟的阶段去介入这个游戏，然后去选中它。但是我发现很多海外的游戏，就比如说505，它可能会在游戏非常雏形的阶段就选定它，然后不断的给它投资。所以说，我能理解为什么很多海外厂商会觉得中国是一个 agency。那确实是这样，我们可能不会在前期投很多钱，但是一旦游戏上线，我们会把所有的宣发资源投入到上线一季以后，不管是 KOL 啊，不管是 SNS 运营啊，不管是广告啊，不管是各种资源，都会在游戏上线后一波的投放的。
So as far as Bilibili is concerned, we used to be a indie game publisher. However, just recently we actually went into some bigger publishing deals, including the ones with 505. But what I've noticed is that the role of the publisher in China is completely different from what we see here, and including like the meetings that we had. Basically, the main difference is that in case of Chinese publishers, we actually want to see a complete product. The publishers here, they mostly engage with the development teams very early on. They put money into the project, they invest into the project in order to make it happen. While in case of the Chinese publisher, and in case of Chinese publishers, in our case, what we do is we enter on a very, very late stage when the game is pretty much ready. And then when the game is released, what we do is we put a lot of effort and a lot of money into the promotion of the game, including working with KOLs, including working with the media, etc., etc.
大家好，我是之前我之前的工作就是上一家公司的工作是全程参与了 CDPR 昆特牌的在中国的发行，这点和 B 站是不一样的。我们是从很早期就介入到了昆特牌的发行环节，我们相当于是昆特牌在国内的代理发行厂商，从昆特牌在国内的本地化到合规。到试玩到一系列的过程全程参与了，这点我觉得可能是公司之间有不一样的差异，比如说在国内比较大的游戏公司，比如说腾讯，比如说网易啊，比如说我的前司，他们是更倾向于早期介入到游戏发行当中的，所以我觉得可能如果你的游戏是有信心的，是一个一定是能大卖的游戏。那我建议还是找国内的更大的发行商去进行早期的合作，这样也有利于游戏在早期在国内的宣传。
I would like to add to this because I do think it's different for different companies. And in case of the company that I used to work for, we were the publisher for CD Projekt's Gwent game. Which I'm sure you're familiar with. And actually what we did was we were engaged in the production of the game, in the development of the game very early on, because we already knew that we do want to publish this game. So we went from development, we went from localization into marketing, etc., etc. So there is a difference here, because for big companies, so like companies like Tencent, companies like NetEase, those companies, if they have faith in your project, and if they have faith in the game and they believe that it can be a huge success, those companies would actually prefer to be involved very early on with the development so that they can support you in ways that would be more familiar for the Chinese players. Thank you so much. That is very, very important insight, I think. and huge differences if you look at how different companies cooperate with their partners. Now, there is one thing that I would like to ask you guys, because that's something that we always have a question, very important question from the audience. Now, if you want to publish your game in China, do you have to have an ISBN?
那个在中国，如果你要想发行游戏的话，是有两种，一种如果你是一个单机游戏或者是主机游戏，那么完全可以不需要版号，比如说你可以通过 Steam 去发行。对，如果你是一个手机游戏，是一个移动游戏，然后且这个移动游戏是需要付费的，无论是买断也好，还是长期的服务型也好，那么一旦涉及到付费这个商业模式，那它就是必须要申请版号，需要去经过中国政府的严格审核。
So it's actually different for different types of games. So if you have a PC game that is completely different, you actually don't need the ISBN unless what you're doing is a mobile game. Because for mobile games, especially the ones that are paid mobile games, if you pay inside the game, if there are any microtransactions inside the game, then you have to walk through the whole process of getting the ISBN. So do you guys work with ISBNs or without ISBNs?
My answer would be yes and no. So so we published a game last year called AI Limit. It was a third-person action Souls-like game. We have ISBN for the game, and in order for the game to be available on more official channels in China, for example, we game and all the other console platforms, the official console platforms like PlayStation China and etc. etc. So after a year, we look at the sales data. It's like 95% of the sale. I mean, when it comes to PC, 95% of the sale still comes from Steam International. Very few copies were sold on those official channels in China. So in our case, if you're a Chinese developer, of course, we would encourage you to get ISBN for more coverage and exposure. But if you're a Western developer or publisher, I would suggest that just stick with Steam because that's where your revenue is going to be coming from mostly. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jack.
刚才Nilo 有提到说Steam 游戏其实如果是上 Steam 的话，可能不需要版号。那事实上版号是有中国国产游戏版号和进口版号。那如果你的游戏主体是在海外的，你进国内，我建议还是需要，不管你是不是上 Steam 还是怎么样，我觉得建议还是会有一个版号。的原因是如果你有了中国游戏版号，那么中国的所有主流媒体都会为你的游戏背书。我们知道《黑神话：悟空》它有中国游戏版号，那它其实在前期会有很多的舆情，但是中国主流的媒体的话，会因为它这个版号存在，所以会为它做很多的背书，会为它做很多的后台的证明。但是如果你没有这个版号的话，那可能主流的媒体像 CCTV 啊、什么新华网这可能就不会为你去发声。所以我建议还是需要有版号。
So just like Neil mentioned, like there is for Steam games, you generally do not need the ISBN. But what we would actually suggest that if you have the opportunity to get one, do, because that means that it opens new channels for you. It opens new channels in terms of, for example, media cooperation. So we had Black Myth Wukong, which I am sure you all know, and that game, like it of course had the ISBN, and it wouldn't be possible for the game to reach the audience, for example, at the national television network, at like the biggest general media in China, without having an ISBN. Okay, thank you guys. I think it's a very important question. And again, of course, very different for many different situations. Now, I would like to ask you guys, because of course everybody wants to publish their games in China. We know it's the biggest gaming market in the world. Everybody's here, so I think we don't need to tell them that China is important, they already know. But what kind of games, as publishers, are you guys looking for? Do you have any sort of expectations towards the games, what they should or shouldn't have in order to publish them? Jack.
Yeah, 哔哩哔哩的选品可能是，怎么说呢？哔哩哔哩的话，它因为是一个社区，所以说我们可能会更加看重于它的互玩性，或者说它的一个多人联机，或者说它的一个创作者模式。所以说我们可能会在像sandbox，然后像那个是主播类欢乐的一些游戏，就是 party game 可能会更加注重一些。那虽然说我们最近的选品可能会更加往大型、更加往3A 的方向去发展，但是这个标准其实也是会改变的，因为如果像杀戮尖塔这种体量的游戏有机会让我们代理的话，我们也不会去拒绝的。所以说，我觉得再简单一点的话，可能像肉鸽动作或者肉鸽卡牌，会是我们比较有共识的会去选择去代理的一个游戏。但是像是文字冒险游戏，或者说像是互动引游这类游戏，我们一般不会选择，是因为大家知道 B 站是一个视频平台，那我们既然可以在视频上完整的去过游戏的所有内容，那我为什么还要去买它呢？所以说，我们确实是有这样的选品的偏好。
So for us as Bilibili, it's basically like we do big games recently, but it doesn't mean that we don't do small games if they're good. What we're actually looking for are things like replayability, are things like creativity, and also things like a co-op mode, because those are things that are most important to Chinese players. But we also look at the possibilities of streaming the game, especially for games that have things that should not be included in streams, so nudity or stuff like that. Those are games that we're not very much interested in because you cannot play the game from head to end to tail without cutting a few scenes. So we're looking for games like that. Thank you so much. Max.
I think this is it's different. Every different publisher has their own standard when it comes to publishing games. In our experience, because we've had successes with hardcore action games, third-person Souls-like action games. So that's the kind of games we have been looking at recently, and that's the kind of game we would like to explore more and more. No matter if the game is from China or from other parts of the world, I think that's currently our preference. But we also look at smaller games as well, indie games. But because every company has their own preference, but at the end of the day, it's still what really matters is that the game needs to be unique in some way. The game needs to be special, creative, fun. I think that's what really matters. Doesn't matter your game is what genre is. What really matters is that the game needs to be fun and it needs to be a good fit for the Chinese market.
Okay, thank you.
因为我不是发行商，所以如果我作为一个社区负责人，然后选择游戏的上，我会更加选择这种策略深度足够深且游戏时长足够多的游戏，然后这个游戏还要可以经过玩家反复多次游玩，而且能够产生很多讨论话题的游戏。
So for us, because we're not directly a publisher, what we deal with is mostly communities. So the important thing is that the game has high replayability, but also is a topic that players can discuss, because that's what runs the sales, that's what runs the game's popularity. Thank you so much. My next question is to you guys mostly, again, because it's dealing with direct publishing, basically. Now, in dealing with foreign game developers, what problems do you think are the ones that they experience most? I want to bring my game to China. What problems am I going to face? What are the biggest difficulties that I'm going to have? Jack, maybe you can start.
我会分享，去年我们跟明末505 Games 的一个故事。当然，我不是说是谁的问题啊，就是在游戏上线前1个月的时候，我们发现社区里面出现了一张图片，是《明末渊虚之域》这款游戏发售时的整个世界地图的时区，发售的时区。那我发现在中国的那张版图上面出现了3个城市，一个是北京，一个是成都 ，which is 林泽他们开发商的一个所在地，然后再下面是香港。那这张图片虽然我们紧急联系他们，让他们赶紧删除，但是还是被玩家截图下来了，并且在游戏上线之后，作为一个非常有力的一个证据去抨击发行商。那这里我想说的是，其实确实中国作为一个一个时区，因为这3个城市都是在一个时区，没有必要分成3个城市。那我认为民族问题和国家的领土问题在中国游戏发行确实是一个死线。我觉得这个问题应该是海外发行商如果是想要拓宽中国市场的话，需要绝对避免的一个问题。
From our experience, I can share with you that we had this game Wuchang Fallen Feathers by 505, and pretty much everything was going pretty smooth, but about a month before the game's released, there was a map from the game with 3 Chinese cities pinpointed on the map, which were Beijing, Chengdu, and Hong Kong. Now the problem is that in terms of China, what the Chinese players thought was, why would you divide the Chinese community into those 3 cities? Like, we're one community, we're one team, so why would you do that? What does it mean? So the thing that I think foreign developers should be very careful about are things like, maps or things that might be politically considered incorrect or harmful, which you might not really expect but are very important to the Chinese community. Yeah, I think that's a very good example.
Thank you.
Many situations like that, we can say that from I think many different Polish developers' perspective, where you had situations like that. Max, any difficulties that you think that foreign developers can face, any other ones?
So I get a lot of questions like, so ISBN already covered. Do I have to remove the blood away from the game? How much will my game cost in China? I don't want it to be too cheap rather than the US dollar. And very basic questions. And is Steam available in China? It's I get that question a lot. So Steam is available in China. That's it's like a misconception a lot of game developers from other parts of the world may have. The only part that's not working very well on Steam is the community. That part you need to have a VPN or internet booster to access. But if you want to buy game, if you want to play game, it's perfectly fine, just like the rest of the world. So you don't have to have any concern about launching your game on Steam and entering China. It's just like China is just like the rest of the world. It's just a different regions, different part. So we have our own currency, we have our own internet. But still, it's the same thing. But I get a lot of those questions, and hopefully, I think after today's meetings and this forum, you guys can rest assured that China is not that scary.
I think that is very important, that China is not as scary as many people think. But there is one thing, because you've mentioned the community, and I would like to go with the community to Nilo, because that's something that you guys do. Something that I think in terms of being scary is very important. Many Polish game developers, Polish publishers mention how Chinese players love to give negative reviews on Steam. In Chinese, 打差评. Now, could you please share, like from the point of view of a person who deals with the community on a daily basis, how to avoid those negative reviews? Is there any way?
OK，首先呢，我先说结论，我不认为中国玩家会比其他国家的玩家更爱打差评。归根结底呢，会有几个原因。第一个原因呢，是因为中国玩家缺乏有效的面向开发者反馈的一个途径。也就是说，像国外玩家可以通过 Discord， 然后可以和开发者直接反馈，而国内的玩家呢，基本很少有玩家会用 Discord， 所以他们反馈游戏问题的唯一途径可能就是通过 Steam 的评论区去反馈。当他们在游玩过程中遇到了一些 bug 和比较困难的体验，那么往往会选择打差评来告诉开发者我遇到了什么问题，我希望你能尽快去更改。他们其实是表达这种诉求。那么来避免这种原因有几个，第一个呢就是。
So actually, I don't think that Chinese players like to give a lot of negative reviews because if you think about it from a different perspective, what foreign players do, what Western players do, if there is a bug in the game, if they encounter some problems, what they do is they mostly go to Discord and they can communicate with the team, they can express their feedback and give it directly to you guys through those channels. Now, in terms of the Chinese community, they mostly do not have Discord. They don't use it on a daily basis. Many of them never do. So the only option for them to give you feedback on the game, if they encounter a bug, if they find some problems, is to do it through the Steam review system, which unfortunately sometimes ends up as a negative review.
首先避免第一个问题就是可以做好比较良好的预期管理，因为很多中国玩家在体验游戏的时候，他是从手游转到 PC 游戏的，所以他们对于游戏的期待是一个更完整的版本，而不是一个问题可能会比较多，然后且存在适配问题和网络问题的一个版本。
But I think one of the things that you can do is to manage expectations, because you do have to remember that most Chinese players came to PC games from mobile games. So what they expect from the developer, from the publisher, is a complete game that's going to run no matter what on every machine.
然后第二个呢是尽量使用中国的交流软件，比如说你建一个 QQ 群，它获得的效率要远远高于 Discord， 然后这样的话，玩家的反馈可以直接通过 QQ 群告诉大家，而避免玩家通过 Steam 差评来反馈问题。
And of course, it's also very important to use Chinese social media and Chinese channels to communicate with the players. So since they can't use Discord, you can try to establish a group on QQ, which is like you could say the Chinese version of Discord, though not entirely. But it's a place that the Chinese community can give you feedback and they can discuss like problems with the game so that it doesn't end up as a negative review.
那最后呢，就是在中国各大社区平台去建立自己的账号，然后去跟玩家1对1的去跟玩家更多的去倾听玩家的反馈，还有就是能够和对应的意见领袖去取得联系，然后通过意见领袖来传达开发者的一些想法。
And of course, you should have accounts on the major Chinese platforms. And communicate with those players, see their feedback and react to that feedback. But you can also work with KOLs. They can be like speakers, ambassadors of your game, and they can communicate with the players to make sure that they are heard. Okay.
总的来说呢，其实就是基于文化差异和语言差异上的区别。我相信，如果大家做好了之后，可能在未来的2到3年之内，就会很快的。减少中国玩家打差评的情况。
So yeah, I firmly believe that having in mind like all the cultural differences, etc., if you can approach the Chinese market correctly within the next 2-3 years, you can definitely minimize the amount of negative Steam reviews. Thank you so much. I think that's very important feedback that we got. Now, guys. Our time is running up because we still have a Q&A session planned for the end of the panel. So I would jump to our last question, basically, because you've had quite a few chances to speak with Polish game developers. Some of you have worked with Polish game developers. You've worked with CDPR on Gwent. You guys worked with Polish developers as well, like the amount I cannot even count. Now, my question is, what would you guys like to tell Polish game developers who are sitting here? Like what kind of little bit of advice, of knowledge would you like to share? Max, could you start?
I guess I'm not like sharing advices or knowledges, I'm just sharing my experience because this is my first time in Poland, and big thanks to Damian and his colleagues. We had a tour like yesterday and the day before. We visited Warsaw, we learned the history of Poland. So there is, your country has a rich history and many heroes and many heroic moments and a lot of brave people. And I think their stories needs to be told to the world. The world deserves to know. And we've seen that via television, via movies, via literature, via music. And with this new media of video games, we hope to see more of Polish stories translated into video games, so the rest of the world can experience and know more about your story, basically. So yeah, that's what I hope to see in the future, to play games that are like takes place in Poland and are like I'm actually participating in a very important history, in a part of the Polish history. So that would be very interesting for me to see. So hopefully one day we can see more games coming from Poland in the future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I do think we all have the same hopes up for more good Polish games and for sharing Polish games as a cultural product. Jack, what would you like to say to Polish game developers?
昨天还是前天，Damian 跟我们说，11 bits 他想做一款关于华沙起义的游戏。然后昨天晚上我们跟文化部部长交流的时候，我问他11 bits 他想做一款关于华沙起义的游戏。我问他怎么看，他说游戏是作为一款商品存在的。如果这款游戏因为它的设计历史原因，它卖不好的话，可能会存在本末倒置的情况发生。所以说，他认为深度设计历史的游戏应该再检讨检讨。那其实我想说的是，如果你有一个 idea，然后你非常非常想去做它，那在场那么多都是游戏开发者，那就去做它。如果你真正在乎的是市场的价值，那即便它可能市场表现不那么好，但是这是你自己想做的东西，那就去做它。因为你们可能没有那么多限制的话，就去做它。
I've actually heard from Damian that 11-bit Studios said once that someday they will make a game about the Warsaw Uprising, which is, I think, a great idea because, like, we've had a discussion at the Polish Ministry of Culture where the delegates that were welcoming us said that in what they consider a good game in terms of a cultural product is not just like a cultural background product, but is actually a product itself. Like a game has to be a good game first and foremost, and as long as it's a good game, that's like the basic idea behind it. So I believe that if you think you have a good idea, if you believe in that idea and you want to make it real, just go ahead and do it. And I'm sure there will be people who are going to like it. Thank you so much. And Nilo.
对，首先感谢大家的倾听。然后我呢，分享一个我自己个人的经历。我之所以踏上游戏这个行业，是因为那个 CDPR 那个巫师系列的成功，以及那个昆特牌单独游戏化的一 一个过程，才使我有机会踏入游戏这个行业。所以我还是和大家的波兰游戏的渊源是非常深的。然后同时我还想说，就是我一直相信游戏是打破文化隔阂的一个最好的桥梁。那么我希望，因为今天我在现场中我看到很多游戏的开发者依然会觉得就是提到亚洲，就是日本武士很帅，是吧？然后日本的忍者很帅，对吧？那我希望通过这个游戏的传达和交流，有朝一日大家能够明白，哎，中国的武侠是非常帅的，中国的仙侠是非常酷的，对，这是我也所希望的。同时呢，我也希望借助游戏这个媒介，能让更多的中国玩家能够了解到波兰的民俗文化是多么的有趣，以及那个大面出的那个波兰游戏开发者指南是非常有用的，大家还是需要熟读它的。
Actually, like my story with games started with The Witcher and with Gwent. So I got to enter the game dev industry through those, and that's where it started. And I do believe that if you look at those games, they are very, very different. They are very unique in terms of the culture that they include. So I do believe that in the future you will have more opportunities to find very good Chinese games that tell a Chinese story. It's not just like, people interested in Japan and in samurais and ninjas. I do hope that you will like wuxia games from China. And at the same time, since games are actually a bridge, a cultural bridge, that works two ways, I do hope that there will be more games from Poland that will tell the stories of Poland, that will tell Polish culture, and will bring it forward to Chinese players. Thank you so much. Guys, we have a couple of minutes left, basically 10 minutes. So you can ask questions. I do not see what you have there. Oh, a special mic. Okay, wow. So you guys can have a special mic, not a regular mic. Have that in mind. It's the only opportunity you have to have that mic in your hands. And now you have 10 minutes, maybe 9, because I'm speaking a lot, to ask your questions. Go ahead. I think we have time for 2, maybe. Fantastic. Good catch.
Good catch.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Hello. Thank you for the panel. My question is regarding the games that already have the global publishers from the West, which is a situation that I have. Personally, I believe that having a Chinese partner, Chinese publisher for Chinese market is potentially very beneficial, but I don't know how to actually explain to my publisher that we should do such a move. Because when they start to do the global publishing, they tend to think about, okay, so global means global, so everything, and they say that, okay, so we will cover China, and then they are doing nothing in China, besides some basic stuff. So how I can explain them that this is a good idea to reach out to the Chinese partner?
Okay, who wants to answer that one?
我会认为，数据其实是一个非常直观的东西。那既然你想要去给你的老板去展示为什么中国市场如此重要，那Steam 每个游戏的 Steam 后台会有各个国家的销量占比。那你把销量占比，中国的销量占比截给他看，那如果他是仅次 top 前1、top 2、top 3，你就可以给他看这个数据。那其次，像在中国的一些视频平台，我不会只说哔哩哔哩，像抖音啊、小红书啊，它的一些官方的账号，它的一些关注数，或者说它的一些优质内容的播放量，或者说优质内容的阅读量，它都可以作为一个参考的数据。那你把这些数据给你的老板看，事实上我也是这么做的，我也是这么把这些数据给我的老板看的。所以说，我觉得这些数据其实并不是那么难获得的。
I think the best thing you can do is actually to take data, because data is the very best thing that you can use to actually make somebody believe that something is important. So if you look at Steam, for example, you'll notice that the Chinese market is among the main markets for many top games, but not just Steam. Like if you open Bilibili or Chinese TikTok or other platforms, you're going to see how much views the videos there get. You're going to see how many followers follow the accounts of their favorite developers and publishers. Now, if you show that to your publisher, they have to notice that it's an important market that they have to deal with, so they need to have some help.
So, one additional. So, I think that everybody knows that Chinese is a big country and believes that this market is big, but the problem is that all of the Western publishers that I worked so far, they believe they then can do it alone, and then they fail. This is the problem. And how to convince them that it is a smarter move to reach help.
Max.
Well, I think it really just depends on what's the potential for your game in the Chinese market. If your game is already released, check out the data, like he just mentioned. How's the sale doing in China? How's the media traction doing in China? How's the social media followers in China? Those can be used in your case to convince your publisher, okay, we're getting some attention from the Chinese market. We should devote more and push a little further into the market. But if you don't have good numbers, if you don't have if your game is very Western in our opinion, even if your game is localized, it is still not doing very well in China, I guess it would be a hard sell. So I think it still depends on the game itself. If it's doing well, if it has potential, it's worth trying to make a pitch to your developer, to your publisher, of course. But yeah, I think, and also you can also look at the Steam reveal in Chinese, and if you can't read Chinese, you can Google Translate that and see what are the Chinese players thinking, what's their feedback of your game. If they're very positive, I think that can also be used as a standard or a method to turn that into a whole conversation. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to add something?
我觉得我可以举一个例子，就是全面战争中古战锤，然后它在中国的发行量，在中国的销量是非常好的。那为什么它能在中国有如此好的销量呢？是因为它完善了以中国为历史原型的震旦这个阵营，而在创作震旦这个阵营的时候，它参考了很多中国明代、唐代等朝代的这个服饰和形制，所以说它获得了很多中国玩家的好感，而中国玩家的好感决定了这个游戏在中国的销量。战锤这个游戏，像那个全面战争、全战。
I'll give you an example. So, like for example, for the game Total War, you have like one of the games in the series is heavily based on China. Like you have a lot of Chinese influences, and it was actually pretty well done. But it was done in cooperation with the Chinese. Like it was extremely popular because it used very quality visuals that were from the actual ages, etc., etc. Now the game was successful because of the Chinese community, because it was well done. So it can be a very good example that if you want to be successful, it has to be well done. You're not going to do it alone. Okay, thank you guys. That's it for now. Now we have a short break, a 10-minute break, and then we're going to have the next panel about media. Thank you.
Thank you.